Good afternoon. In my mobile home, and a lot of the neuroscience, addiction related books, medical terminology type books, I read in audio form. I don't have hard copies of most of those. I use Audible for that. $15 a month. You get a free book every month for anybody interested. There's a lot of free audio websites out there, but Audible is actually owned by Amazon, which means they have pretty much every title ever. Major, way larger library with Audible. It's totally worth paying for. But so I wanted to take a second and let's talk about our brains. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So let's break it down, okay? Just in the last literally year or so, neuroscientists have discovered a part of the brain, and it's called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. I may be mispronouncing that, but essentially it's the middle of your fucking brain. It sits right near your pineal gland, right near your amygdala, which is responsible for your emotional control, regulation, things like that. Fight or flight response. And this region of the brain, which is something I already kind of knew from a physiological standpoint, I've literally felt this in my body, and going through 6 years of recovery and everything, I have a perspective of a literal physical perspective of what it's like to feel these things, both in my body and in my mind. And so I want to share that with you guys from the perspective of somebody who is obviously not a neuroscientist. I am not a doctor. But I have a life experience. I've physically felt these things happening in my body. And so I can speak on that from a real perspective. And the mid-cingulate cortex, what it does is when you do things you don't want to do, it grows, gets bigger. And when you do things you've never done before, it aids in creating new neural pathways in the brain. So if you've never been skydiving, that's an experience you've never had. Those connections in your brain of what it's like to fall from 10,000 feet and pull a parachute and all this other stuff, those connections aren't there. Your brain's never experienced it. It hasn't created those neural pathways. Okay? And so when you do things that you don't want to do, it grows and it stimulates new neural connections. Now, I've said this before. When you're an addict and you're in active addiction, you lose what's called neuroplasticity. You lose connections in the brain. What's up, David? This is a good one, by the way. Talking about some real shit right now. So you lose these connections in your brain. Now, methamphetamine releases copious amounts of oxytocin, dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine, all the chemicals, all the neurotransmitters. And so when you're on hard drugs, what it essentially does is it floods your brain with the chemicals. All right? And now since your brain has experienced this unnatural level of chemicals, it stops producing them. It says, I got too much of that. I don't need to make more, right? So then you get sober. Now, for years, you've been switching this switch in your brain on and off, on and off, on and off. Chemicals, no chemicals. Chemicals, no chemicals. Chemicals, no chemicals. Okay? For years, might want to fix that. For years, scientists considered this to be brain damage. It's not necessarily brain damage. It's just brain alteration. It's altered. Doesn't mean it can't be fixed. Your body has a pretty incredible way of fixing itself. And so in a naturally healthy person who's never experienced addiction, essentially, we're using dumb terms here because I don't want to lose you with all this neuroscientific blah, right? Again, a lot of these doctors, they get into these terminologies and people just swipe up, okay? This is coming from somebody who's really lived through the shit and really felt it. So through years of addiction, you've been flipping these switches on and off, on and off, on and off. And for somebody who's never experienced addiction, your brain has a natural drip, per se. We're using layman terms here. But your brain naturally drips in slow, small, minuscule amounts. Dopamine when you need it. Serotonin when you need it. Norepinephrine when you need it, right? And so your brain has a natural chemistry. Now, when you've been flipping this light switch in your brain on and off, on and off, on and off, on and off, it's a bit like a blown out fucking spark plug. All right? When it's working, it's not working right. It's giving a weak connection. Engine's not quite running right. Can't figure out why the fuck you're sick 1 minute, mad 1 minute, happy 1 minute, sad in the next minute, depressed the next minute, want to kill yourself today, want to live life tomorrow. You're just all over the fucking place and you just don't get it. You're like, why, what? Okay. And on top of that, you got people like me who are 6 years sober going, oh, to get sober, your life's going to get better. I'm fucking homeless. Trust me. It don't just get better. It's not fucking magic. All right. So then you end up having all the emotions associated with that, which is what makes recovery so damn difficult. A lot of people think you can just get sober. And, oh, well, you know, you've been off the dope for 6 months now. Why are you having a craving? Why? Tell us what's wrong with you and we'll help you. Most of the time, they don't even know what the fuck is wrong with them. But that's what this video is all about because I'm trying to help them understand these things. Okay, when you've been on drugs for even a short period of time, really, it can do damage to these neurotransmitters and their signals and the way they function and operate that can take years for your brain to get back to equilibrium. Years. I'm 6 years sober and I'm just now starting to feel like I can socialize in a normal setting. A lot of that has to do with the outside forces in my life and things going on. You know, there's a lot of self-worth and different things that contribute to that. But in order to get that neuroplasticity back, in order to get your brain firing properly, you've got to do things you've never done before. You got to get sober. I highly suggest going skydiving. It's a great release of adrenaline. You got to understand what activities release what chemicals and what chemicals you need and why you feel that way. For example, if you're having trouble regulating your mood, do puzzles, do Sudoku, do crosswords, do Rubik's Cubes, solve puzzles. It releases norepinephrine, which is one of the neurotransmitters responsible for mood regulation. Also, eating healthy food. Having an alkaline diet. Having an alkaline diet affects all of that as well, which is basically colorful foods. If you're wondering, mangoes, papayas, bananas, grapes, anything colorful, it's going to help with that mood stabilization as well. On top of that, we have trauma being a factor. Trauma enlarges your amygdala and shrinks your hippocampus. Your amygdala is responsible for fight or flight. Like I said earlier, it's your go, 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 go part of your brain. Your hippocampus is responsible for relaxation, rest, meditation. Okay? So, if you've experienced trauma and you have this go, 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 go about you, and you're trying to understand how you can regulate that, well, you need to shrink the size of that amygdala, and you need to enlarge the size of that hippocampus. Your amygdala is your go, your hippocampus is your brakes. You need to spend, if you're all go all the time, you need to spend more time meditating, resting, relaxing, reading books, these types of things. Fishing, spending time in nature, okay? And it's not just going to be like, oh, you go fishing one time and all of a sudden your brain just naturally levels itself out. It takes discipline, years of discipline, of implementing everything that I've just told you in this video to live a life in recovery and to get back to feeling like your normal self again. In order to get places you've never been in life, you got to do things you've never done. And in turn, you're also increasing the amount of your brain that you are using. You're establishing new connections in your brain that have never been there before. And when you put into practice the little tips and advice that I've put in this video, eventually, with discipline, over time, you'll start to get in tune with yourself again. But you can't give up. See, because if you give up, and you go back to whatever mind-altering substance it is, even if they're prescribed medications like Lexapro and Adderall and different things. I'm on Lexapro now, so I have no shade on that, But if you're on a cocktail of antidepressants and all different, if you're taking, more than 3 psychiatric drugs at a time, it might be a good idea to not to. And really take the time to figure out who you are without those mind-altering substances. So, I take discipline to not have to rely on that medication. But yeah, hopefully this will teach somebody how to get in tune with themselves again, and hopefully it will broaden their understanding enough to continue living a life in recovery. It's not easy, guys, but if I did it, you can too. Love yourself, love others, love the world around you. Peace.